back home and probably going to have to base if he doesn't want to risk going back to lane at half health.
So this is going to put him pretty far behind because he's now going to be coming back to the lane, but he's used his health potion. He seems to be caught in two minds.
Yeah,
he's like, do I, don't I, do I, don't I? And in this whole time, he's losing CS, he's losing XP. Here comes Svenskeren over again from the side. Going to be using that cripple. The red buff doing a lot of damage, but Zazes, even though he's not dying, he's losing so much XP right now. And even when he does go into lane, he risks being killed.
You see, SK now punishing this indecision here from Zaxxas by pushing that wave into the turret. He's losing a lot of creeps from it. He's still level 1. He is now going to recall in the bush. Svenskeren steals that big Golem away from Jankos, and this is the start SK needed before. This is the start they wanted, and that's Lee Sin doing his thing. He's using his very strong early, he's using his quick jungle clear, he's using that very fast level 3, and he's really punished Zaxxas down. Didn't get a chance to do that previously, didn't get a chance to really make that impact until very later in the game, and at that point everyone else was stronger and more influential.
Here comes the repel from Elise jumping back on again, forced to flash away though. Now going to be forcing Zazes to also flash, who's still level 1. So 2 flashes burnt from KMT. Now find themselves in a 3 versus 2, stuck underneath their tower. And as you said before, if you see Elise in play, you want to see it aggressive, you want to see it making an impact. And that's exactly what Svenskeren is doing right now. He is making Zazes effectively useless, whereas Freddy is getting the XP. He's level 3.
They're going into Zaxxas on the turret, they condemn into the wall. There's one last shot for the true damage bolt. Actually goes on to Jankos, so Zaxxas survives. Slight misclick from Candy Panda, but forces a flash away from Svenskeren to stop himself dying to that turret. And it's finally time for Zaxxas to get a little bit of experience.
Well, that's going to be pretty good news for Zazes actually, with that really hard engage under the tower, because that's going to force Svenskeren away back to his spawn, so that pressure has been momentarily alleviated. He's not going to have to worry about that coming back up. And now Jankos is going to babysit Zazes, going to allow him to get some more XP, get his way back into this game. Freddy122 had to go back to spawn. He's back again though, and he's doing a pretty nice job, although his tower is taking a beasting right now.
So, unfortunately, occupational hazard for these poor towers. Svenskeren is coming down towards this lane now, trying to give him a little bit of a show of love, but he's walked straight past the ward as well by that Golem bush, so they're going to know he's coming. KMT's bottom lane pairing should play accordingly as he shows up. Yeah, he's not even worried about really getting. He's going to show his face straight up. Vanda actually takes a lot of damage from Freddy122 again, but he doesn't run back to the turret. Oh, Selov actually aggressive arcane shift into the turret, but he's doing a lot of damage to Svenskeren because of it. Flashes behind him for one last auto attack. The Ignite's burning, but it's not enough thanks to that safeguard. Vanda's been scared off by Freddy122. Overpower's burning in the mid lane. Jez's Ignite's been used. He's landing a lot of auto attacks. He's not quite ready to turn on him again yet, but SK in that bottom lane escaping by the sliver of Svenskeren's teeth.
That was so close. Jankos very nearly feeling the force to say Jankos, of course. It's actually not Jankos, but regardless, Freddy122 is now about to lose his tower unless he manages to force this one away for the next couple of moments, which I doubt is going to happen with this creep wave pushing down. But that was really scary, actually. I have no idea how Svenskeren managed to survive that. He had like maybe 20 hit points.
Yeah, the last second safeguard just about coming back off cooldown to save his life as Overpower gets jumped in on by Jezis, but the shockwave pulls him into the turret. There's one turret shot that Jezis really could have done without, and he'll fall down for first blood to an auto attack to Overpower.
Beautiful play. Carbon copy of last game here for KMT, starting off in the best possible way. SK are managing to force this tower down as well, however, but Freddy122's tower has already fallen itself. So Ezreal and Son are going to be going to top lane right now, trying to keep this tower alive. Here comes Candy Panda. He's going to condemn Zazes to the wall. Jankos from the side. Cocoon comes in, lands on Candy Panda. Do they have the damage? Tumbling away. They do not have the damage. The barrier was up. The flash was up as well. Candy Panda playing that one cool.
Yeah, and you get on back at it. So despite Candy Panda, Nif and Svenskeren bullying Zaxxas as much as they were early, they weren't doing so much turret damage, so that turret's going to stay alive for a while. And this is an interesting play from KMT. They have swapped Ezreal Sona to that top lane. So they are using it to try and save that turret and keep this advantage of having one over the SK lineup that they didn't have. But in doing so, they've pulled a lot of their members away from the Dragon. And so that's going to be quite a while before we see anyone attempt.
Yeah. And I can finally talk about what I said yesterday when I made a complete derp moment of talking about Lucian's build when it was Ezreal's or vice versa. Double lift normally goes for like Bloodthirster first on Ezreal and then into something like Triforce. This is back when you had blue build Ezreal, everyone was building it, and he said it just lacked that early game damage. You had to wait too long. So Celiva's gone for the BF sword first, which is kind of unorthodox at the moment because more often than not, as we saw in this tournament as well, it's going to be Phage into Sheen into Triforce. So he's going for that early damage, he's going for that early dominance instead of the sustain, instead of the tankiness of a Phage.
Overpower, got himself a Fiendish Codex thanks to that first blood on top of the Chalice of Harmony that both he and Gragas also share. He's going to be able to spam out a few more attacks, more attack commands, more dissonance commands, and really start to punish Gragas down for that first early death. Because it's just an ever so slight overextend. Slight 10 CS gold lead as well to this, but Gragas is roaming towards the top lane now, and KMT do not seem to have noticed.
Yeah, this is going to be very potentially painful. Here comes the explosive cast. True Shot Barrage comes through, does catch on to Nifs, who takes a lot of damage. Beautiful crescendo, though, from Vanda. Blocking 2 players down, saying, you will not pass. My AD carry is going to be just fine.
Candy Panda saving Celiva's life a little bit there too. That condemn didn't hit it into the wall, thus just pushed him into the bush. And because Celiva didn't attack while he was in there, he didn't have any vision on him. They couldn't continue the attack, they couldn't continue the true damage. And the Gragas ultimate didn't actually hit Celiva either because he immediately stopped to use his ultimate. So he was out of position of where it was placed. And a good flash by Vanda pushed him to safety. And as you mentioned, an immediate crescendo really saved their lives too from the follow-up. SK though looking to try and make the most of it by sneaking in a dragon. Gets spotted out and Zax's ults on top of Svenska.
Equalizer. Here comes the Dragon's Descent as well to try and run away. Safeguarding on. Really smart play. And the directed cam goes scumbag mode. And just switches us away.
Guess that means they're not fighting. Thanks, Larry.
You'll almost tell the future. But anyway, Dragon has been started now from KMT. As Val comes down, it could be falling. Jesus is very strong, however. Doesn't have his explosive cast for 30 more seconds. Shockwave comes in, lands on Svenska, and he's going to be falling to Orianna. Can they turn this one back around, though? Freddy122 has already used his Dragon's Descent. He is going to be flashing away, but now Jesus comes in. His ult up any second now. It's up right now. How much damage is it going to do? Not enough, and he will be falling alongside Zyra and Ezreal at the top lane.
Ready in for a retreat as the spider chasing down. Jenkos and Overpower both going to base, all because SK, they were trying to rush down a dragon. They didn't get the dragon. They lost 3 very important members. Candy Panda does pick up 1 quick kill in the top lane as a slight consolidation, but they lost Nif in the process.
Yeah, lost his tag team partner. But, as you say, I mean, the AD carry went down, so Celiva's going to miss out on some XP, miss out on some farm, while Candy Panda is going to be falling. He's only 5 CS behind. And another way that some Ezreals will go, we've seen this from Reckless, for example, he'll go for like Infinity Edge first if he gets enough farm. So that's another potential route here for Celiva. He's picked up the Vampiric Scepter for sustain. I'm really interested to see where he goes with it.
Yeah, got the Cutlass now on Vayne, so there's a bit of a spike coming out for her, as we've seen time and time again. Well, they've already managed to pick off Ezreal once. Now that they've got that Cutlass in amongst the fray too, it may be a little bit easier to do it next time around. Jez is 0-2-0. Not on his game today, that's for sure. So a very different player yesterday. The game's not done yet, so let's see how things continue to unfold for SK. 3-0-0 for Overpower. That's a very strong Orianna, and that last shockwave, while it only hit Svenska, it did really swing the fight by killing him off. And we saw some very, very impressive Orianna shockwaves throughout the course of the weekend too. So with that kind of kill, that kind of gold under your belt, that shockwave's going to start doing some serious damage and can really mess with SK.
Even though the shockwave only lands on Svenska, it killed him and stopped any safeguards from coming in, which means no more shields, which means it's much more easy to kill the opposition afterwards. So it was such an important ultimate that landed there from Overpower, who's 3-0 again. It seems like every game he is just carrying from mid. A lot of that, though, has to fall on the shoulder of Janko's. Stranglethorns goes down at top lane, but they should be just fine.
A little bit of a waste, to be honest, from Nif. Now they don't have that. Don't even have it for a defensive. And we do have Crescendo and Flash coming up from Vanda in a short while. They might not even need the Flash. We'll see how things unfold, because everyone has ultimate. And you have that Crescendo. There's a lot of damage. They are bringing Gragas back up to the top lane again from middle, but Jezis gets spotted along the way and does have to body slam over into the Baron.
So 3 players at top now for KMT, as Overpower is here in the tri-bush, whereas just the 2 from SK. So if they can get that awesome ultimate engage from both Sona and Orianna, oh my god, that burst from KMT, and Candy Panda's forced to go back to spawn again for 20 more seconds.
Max range Sona Crescendo. And I like that. SK trying to bring... Oh, beautiful flash from Seleva to dodge the snare. He's going to keep chasing it. And Nif Vander was tanking the turret for as long as possible. Down goes Nif. Does catch Vander with the passive, but it's not going to be enough. SK don't quite manage to return the favour. So 2 more deaths in that top lane. I liked how they were bringing Gragas up to try and make something happen. It didn't work out. SK, however, then kept pushing, and Orianna had rotated to go and meet Gragas. Gragas backed away. Orianna didn't. And SK didn't. So they kept going as if they had the numbers advantage when they didn't have it. And well, they paid the price for it. Candy Panda just that little bit too far forward. A very nice ultimate from the Fog of War by Vander.
Yep, so KMT, they won the first game if you have just joined us. This is the Dreamhack Winter 2013 Grand Finals. SK Gaming in this best of 3 simply have to win this matchup to take it into a third. KMT have started in the exact same speed that they took off in game number 1. So it's not looking good for SK right now. It's still early days in this game, but they already find themselves at a $3,000 behind, soon to be 4 if this dragon goes down.
Yeah, they go straight in there with Elise to pull it. There's a lot of aggressive damage from her, and that overpower is incredibly strong. Freddy comes in, very early smite actually there from Jankos, but Svenskeren was busy doing his red buff, so he's not going to worry about stealing it away. Smites that instead. 1 and 6 ends the scoreline. 4 of those kills are on overpower. Orianna, well, I'm quaking in my boots, and I don't even have to face it. She's got 2,000 gold in her back pocket, which she's still yet to spend.
If you're quaking, just imagine how SK feel right about now, when those shockwaves are going to be coming in thick and fast. But the only kill that's on SK is on Vayne, which not necessarily a terrible thing for them. Candy Panda, as I said before, plays a really, really good Vayne. His mechanics are second to none. So if they can feasibly get through to the late game, Gragas, Vayne is terrifying to play against. But the question is, Panky, are they going to manage to get to that stage? Because the way KMT have been all the way through this tournament, they take a small lead and they punish and they finish 25 to 30 minutes through. I'm not sure SK can survive that long.
Candy Panda's getting punished now by Zaxxas. He's leaping in the overheat. He also 10 damage goes down. What are you doing, camera? Jankos is there. Nif does use his ultimate to try and disengage, and well, successfully does so. Candy Panda gets on out, is now in the bottom lane. We do see the crescendo goes down. Spence goes incredibly low. Zeleva trying to do what he can to pick up the kill. Good kick, delays it for a little while, but the ignite's there enough, and Sona picks up the kill onto SK Gaming Svenskeren. Ready 1-2-2's on the run, but Zeleva with that bloodthirst, you mentioned, got a lot of lives to sustain, and overcomes overpower. The shockwave dodgeball Freddy back to a little bit of safety. That's an incredibly tanky dragon. Freddy does walk on out of there.
Yeah, Freddy has gone for an early Spectre's Cowl, so that's the reason the shockwave wasn't punishing him as hard as perhaps would have expected. But still, the damage has been done. 2-0 towers, they pick up a kill. Top lane was also forced back as well, so it's just this systematic approach. Jezis is coming down, however, though. Explosive cast will be missing.
That's the second explosive cast he's missed on Seleva. Just the overpower flashing over the wall just as a condemn pushes him into it. Now Jezis is fighting Seleva straight up, but now with Vander and overpower there to support, Vander picks himself up a second kill of the game. SK were not there to help Jezis out, and now Jankos is closing in on Nif and Candy Panda. He's going to rappel over the wall and go straight in for it, but there's the shield from overpower. Do get snared up as he comes through the tri-brush. Freddy is in full retreat, but the red buff is ticking. Jankos back into spider form. Candy Panda trying to fire and finish off Vander. There's quite a killing spree and a double buff if he gets it, but he waited around too long, and overpower comes across. Zaxxas is down from the top lane. Run below, it does catch Freddy. The stun's there. Jankos will fall, and the red buff goes over to Nif because of it, but Zaxxas comes around behind Freddy, and they pick themselves up a third kill of the fight.
Now 2-10, and this is going to be the third tower and the second at the bot lane. Svenskeren has full hit points, but he can't hope to try and pick up any kills here unless he catches someone recalling on low hit points. It's not going to happen though. I don't want to be too negative, but Jez missing that ultimate really cost them badly.
It did. I mean, it cost him badly too. It cost his life.
Exactly.
You see Svenskeren looking for overpower. Does go to the Sonic Wave out, but KMT will realise it and immediately back up. Shockwave pulls off. Svenskeren taken very low again. Overpower ready to just stay and pressure him a little bit more. But Nif's coming back out. The rest of KMT are all basing, so he's going to have to run on home before he gets caught again. And again, we're getting a very, very rushed Spirit Visage coming out of Freddy 1-2-2, but it makes a whole lot of sense when you're up against that amount of damage. It's quite a bit of damage from Seleva, to be honest, as well as his AD. And then you also have Overpower, Elise's Jankos, and Zaxxas. So there's a massive amount of magic resist that they're going to need.
Man, Overpower just went back, instantly bought Rabadon's Death Cap, because why not? So if it wasn't bad enough before, 17 minutes, 5-0-2 Overpower, Rabadon's Death Cap and Athene's Unholy Grail. Already before he even got Rabadon's Death Cap, he was crunching players. So now this is at the point where if he catches an ult on Nif, he'll instantly die.
That's a terrifying thought. Trinity Force on the way now then for Ezreal as the Sheen's gone first. And it's fighting in the bush. They want to go for Van. He can't land the snare. Is the Condemn going to land? It is going to hit Vander in, but the knock-up's going to have to follow it up as well. Good crescendo delays it, but Vander will eventually fall down to Candy Panda. So there is a kill on the board now for Candy. In fact, his second in total. There's no dragon there for 2 minutes, but SK are around the area. Oh, overpowered nukes through Nif in a very quick burst combination. Celeber is pushing up that middle lane, pushing onto Gragas with Jankos in support. Svenskern comes along to try and help delay the tower going down, but immediately has to turn and run as Jankos and Celeber decide to go a little bit aggressive.
It's looking really bad for SK right now, but they can pull this back. It's not quite over just yet. It's going to be a steep climb, though.
They had another strong start. Zax was being shut down very, very hard early by those 3 members of SK, but they didn't really make the most of that situation. KMT then won the bottom lane because of how much attention top was being given. And SK fell further and further down from that. And now Zaxxas is back in the game at the same level as Freddy. You see the blue buff actually gets smite stole by Jankos. It all comes down from Zaxxas, but SK are in full retreat. And again, get on out of there this time with their lives. Nif a little bit too pushed though. Celeber's coming around behind him, and he's going to stop and kill that plant instead.
So True Shot Barrage and Equalizer also came down from KMT, forcing SK away. Grasping Roots in from Nif, but this is going to be a very dead tower, and there's nothing they can do to stop that with Vayne at bottom, Freddy at top. I have to ask SK, you know, where do you go from here? Is it a case you just wait for that late game and try and turtle in? Vander has been caught, pushed back there from Gragas. Not too much damage, but here comes Svenskeren. He's actually going to die trying to secure that kill, and Vander survives by the skin of his teeth thanks to the Orianna shield.
Wow. Svenskeren was low before he went in, but he went through so much burst damage on his way there. He fell before he managed to get a second ability off. Jesse's going to get Shockwave back in the dissonance, and a last auto attack from Celeber finishes off the drunk man. And onto the tier 2 turret go KMT. They just finished off that tier 1. Now the tier 2 is going to fall down for another 1,000 gold. Dragon's up in 15 seconds. They can rotate around to that if they want, or they can keep pushing, which looks to be their decision. They're going to go onto this inhibitor turret. Vayne's back up. Nif is here. Lee Sin's on his way out, but Svenskeren is incredibly far behind. KMT do rotate down now, heading in the direction of that dragon. But Freddy 1-2 is coming in from the mid lane, and Candy Panda's going to ult.
He is, but here comes a True Shot Barrage and a Stranglethorns. Look at the poke damage, I should say, from the team of KMT. Now Freddy's gone in, crescendo in the face, and it's going to turn back around him. Here comes an Equalizer, and that's beautiful from Zazas. It's going to secure the kill onto Shyvana, but Lee Sin will finally shut down Ezreal. Still, that poke damage was so big from KMT.
So much damage, they can just kite them through. Candy Panda stands no chance of staying alive in these proper full-on team fights. Did get a good ult there from Nif to try and save him. Svenskeren might be able to pick up this dragon with Nif and Candy Panda here to help him out. Try and reset his way back in, but Zaxxas and Jankos are here. While it's a 2v3, and Jankos doesn't have much health, they are very, very strong. Zaxxas comes after Condemn. Overpowers coming in this direction. They will give this one over to SK Gaming, though. While, yes, KMT are very strong, it's their wrong way ahead. No need to risk that lead for one measly dragon.
Exactly. Dragon is not going to turn the game against them, but maybe getting aced potentially could do. Because straight away SK could potentially push down 2 mid towers, so they just want to play it safe. Jankos eats himself a barrel of a power. He's going to get forced across the wall though, and a beautiful explosive cast from Gragas. Jez is stepping up right now. Cocoon, however, will be landing from KMT. Jez has stayed around for a bit too long, so what started as a really nice pick actually equalizes up. Jez is for overpower, but he does get the shutdown goal, so it's not all bad news.
No, so it's the little wins that are going to help SK climb their way back into this. They need to keep those coming, and well, with each of these kills they're getting, while they may not be many, they're all going on to Vayne. It's going to help Candy Panda hit that late game mark very, very soon. He's got that double buff. Zax is now trying to defend this top lane from Freddy, should be just fine. Freddy has a complete Spirit Visage as well now, though, so he's going to take very, very little damage from Zaxxas.
So Freddy continuing to push this tower. It is going to be falling, so it's going to be second tower to SK Gaming. Mid tower just over 50% hit points. So again, it's looking one-sided, but SK, they're hanging on. They're trying to make something occur. Vayne has picked up a few kills plus the shutdown goal, so currently he's sitting on 1.7k. So that could very well go into a Phantom Dancer. There we go. Has just been finished off. Freddy 1-2-2 needs to be careful. Electro Harpoon's landing thick and fast. Here comes as a Shockwave goes in, but narrowly missing. And Freddy 1-2-2 had the Dragon's Descent, so I feel he would have been okay either way.
Yeah, I think he purposely didn't use it as he knew that wasn't going to land.
Yep.
We'll wait and see. He may have just been willing to accept the Shockwave because he was still incredibly tanky. You do see Ezreal flies through that mid lane, catches Svenskeren and Jankos going to repel to keep the chase going. But will ultimately back off and defend with his team. All 5 members of KMT now rotated back towards this mid lane. Still got a long while, of course, for Menace Dragon, as that was recently killed. But KMT willing to put some pressure on here in mid. Jesus has got quite a bit of damage now. Okay, he's 0-5. He's not got the greatest CS, but he does have blasting on top of that Athenes, and that's going to help him clear waves pretty easily. So KMT can't just sit there and face up Seeds and mid turret, as it is going to be very hard for them to get at.
Yeah, so the last time I mentioned the goal difference, it was about 7,000 to 8,000 behind for SK. They've managed to claw this back to 4.3, so they are going the right direction. They're going to have to keep this up though, but as I said before, Panky, it's a difficult situation for them, but they can pull themselves out of this hole. It is possible.
KMT sit like this, then SK are in that little niche they want to be. They've got Freddy pressuring top and being more or less ungankable. They've got Vayne pushing bottom, getting a lot of farm because of it. And then the rest of SK Gaming are comfortably sitting in this mid lane and getting Gragas fed up and just clearing wave after wave and keeping KMT stalled. This is KMT now that need to make something happen and force SK out of this rut. They're clearing in and around the Baron pit and looking for a slight trap at the moment. But if they're not careful, they'll lose the tier 2 turret in the bottom lane for nothing.
So, Candy Panda just chilling at bot. Rest of KMT, it seems to me like their attitude, the mentality has shifted here, Panky, from hyper-aggressive to a bit touchy and nervy now. They're not quite sure if they can go in and all-out engage, and this is costing them.
They'll have lost a couple of people to silly little kills, and they've all backed off and go, okay, we need to stop dying, stop losing these silly little engagements, play a bit more seriously, back off, group up a bit more. And as a result, they've almost become overly cautious for the last couple of minutes. You see Ezreal going bottom now to try and fend off Candy Panda, but a little bit more aggression coming up from KMT in mid as they force SK to rotate back in that direction. But Freddy's now on the top tier 2 turret, he's going to keep pressuring that. Candy Panda is being chased out of this bottom lane by Ezreal Celeber. They're going to go straight 1v1. Celeber has to go over the wall. Candy Panda's going to follow him with a flash. He will solo him down. Candy's incredibly strong, but he's got a lot of people closing in on him now from all sides. He's got... actually, being completely ignored by Sona. He's being allowed to run straight on out of there because good play by SK, Svenskeren and Jezis. They're pressuring the tier 1 turret in mid. This is what SK need to be doing. This is what KMT need to stop, because at this rate, SK Gaming are about to claw themselves back in.
Candy Panda, that is such a huge play. Not just because of picking up the kill on Ezreal, but this allows Freddy 1-2 to claim this tower at top lane. No one can go to him because the rest of the team was going through mid. They're keeping him occupied. Explosive cast whiffs again. Not necessarily...
That was a smart play from Jezis.
Yeah, it was. And it's not necessarily a terrible situation. Cocoon will be landing. Freddy 1-2 still at top. Here comes the crescendo. Here comes Equalizer as well. Jezis will be falling. Nice shockwave back onto Svenskeren. Safeguarding, flashing, the mobility raining out supreme. But at the same time, look at Freddy 1-2 at top lane. He's attacking that tower. Candy Panda's at bot lane as well. This could actually turn into a base race.
You do have these two pushing it, and we've got their one lonely Celeber trying to defend. Jankos overpowers Axis and Vanda in the mid lane. They're going to grab down and finish off this inhibitor pretty rapidly because of thanks to the attack speed buff that Jankos has. But he needs to be very careful not to fall, as he's lacking a lot of health, and Svenskeren's got quite a lot to auto-attack him down and execute him. Let's land the Sonic Wave and KMT back out with one inhib. But now they need to recall and go and defend those lanes. SK need to try and stop as many of these recalls as possible. Overpowers one, but Nif takes a big burst of damage to their face. And Freddy 1-2 is still focusing down that top turret down to about half of his health. Candy Panda's been pushed away as the creeps are gone. Celeber's coming back across towards this top lane, but Freddy is just tanking up the turret with his face.
And Candy Panda is still harassing the bot lane. So yes, they got the middle tower and inhib, but they have a couple of weak inhib towers themselves. In fact, have a look, 641 hit points at bot, and on top, 835, I should say. So that's just a few auto attacks away from both of them falling. And this is where the experience of SK shines through from positions like this. Candy Panda making the play, allowing Freddy 1-2 to be at top lane. Dragon is up in 7 seconds, but it's not necessarily a big deal for either team. SK though, considering they were 8,000 gold behind, have brought it back to 2.6k.
This is much better from SK. Yes, they lost that inhib there, but they didn't quite have the damage on either of their split pushes to clean out one of those turrets. But now that they're both low, they have shown in the last couple of days that some of their longer games, yes, they were long games, but they were long games using this kind of comp. They would siege, they would clear waves, they would split push. And they've shown in doing that, but once they feel safe enough to get back out on their opponent's side of the map and do this once they were siege under turrets, they have been great at just rotating, snapping down a turret, and then jumping back onto their opponents in that fight. Now with those two turrets down very low, that means they can pressure up mid, they can wait for that slight moment when KMT look weak, and then quickly rotate to the opposite side of the map and nuke down one of those low health turrets.
Again though, KMT, they're lacking a bit of punch through mid because Gragas is so good at clearing waves. So they can afford to put 3 people in mid, and KMT can't really push that because the creep wave is going to insta-die. But KMT actually going for the Baron here.
Started it out before
This is ballsy, but they see the Candy Pandas at bot lane, so they're trying to make the most of this situation. Celiva's doing a lot of damage. Here comes Freddy 122 from the side. Baron at about 50% hit points. Svenskeren going to be landing the Q from the side. Do they have the nerves to carry this one forward, KMT? They're taking a lot of damage from the Baron right now. It's not going down as fast as they're expecting. Nifit's going to be falling in the meanwhile. The explosive cast comes through. The Baron is still being picked up from Celiva. They're changing targets right now. Vanda's being crushed by it. Zazz is very low. Jankos is very low. And Lee Sin comes in and will be taking away the Baron. Svenskeren coming out huge here. But they've lost 2 players, and Gragas is going to follow suit.
Candy Panda's pushing his bottom lane the entire time, pushes ultimate as well for the bonus damage. Overpower comes on out. Candy's going to try and dodge around him. He's just going to straight up fight him 1v1. Condemns back the last Crucible Voltron. Candy picks up the kill on Overpower. He's going to grab himself an inhib as well as the Baron buff for the rest of his team. KMT are trying to pressure up mid with Celiva, Jankos and Vanda. They're not going to be able to finish in time. Candy's going to be able to recall as Freddy's there to defend them. 1 inhib apiece. Baron buff on SK, and with the bottom inhib down, that gives SK so much more map control than the mid turret that KMT have.
Game on. Well,
Game on.
If it hasn't been for the last few minutes, it definitely has just flicked a switch. So, Baron, again, Svenskeren's steal there was absolutely magnificent. He's level 12 compared to Jankos' 14. So he is getting less damage from that smite and still managed to pull it out. Unbelievable play. And that's given SK another lifeline. They still got that middle inhibitor down, but they've managed to even it up. And as we said before, in terms of Baron control, having that bottom inhib down is always better than mid.
Yes.
So SK, they're looking pretty good now.
I mean, SK now, they have 2 turrets left to get in this mid lane. KMT still got 2 standing, but they can push back up that lane to get those turrets, and in doing so, they'll kill all the super creeps along their way. In the bottom lane, how KMT have that wave of super creeps coming the entire time, and if they're sending someone down there to kill them while they push, then there's the entire other half of the map that SK can just roam free without that person coming to them anytime soon. They are going to meet up in this mid lane for a little while. Jankos is zoning Nif away from some of his team's wards, but Candy Panda's back up in the top lane on the opposite side of the map to KMT, and it's back to split pushing. There's very few people that they can send up that can solo him down now. We've seen Overpower try it, we've seen Celiva try it, and they've both failed. Rumble would probably fail too, looking at the way Candy Panda's been playing, so they need to be very, very careful with this.
Candy Panda is now huge. He's got Blade of the Rune King, Phantom Dancer, Last Whisper, so he's chunking through everyone, but a Quicksilver Sash as well, so he's not even going to be able to get locked down. That being said though, here comes Vanda, here comes Jankos. How much damage? He's going to take down the kill on a 1 versus 2. Can he go 2 better? He's going left, he's going right. Celiva is so low, very nearly falls. That would have been unbelievably good, but they do claim the kill on Candy Panda. That being said, SK are pushing right through mid.
Honestly, if the Ignite wasn't there from Vanda, I'm pretty sure Celiva would have died. The life steal would have been enough to keep him alive that last second auto attack. But wow, Candy Panda is on fire at the moment, really helping to hold SK into this. But again, credit to the rest of SK2. The way they're playing the rest of the map around Candy Panda is really helping them hold on to this too. Just as his wave clear, he's starting to get very, very strong, while his score still looks terrible, unfortunately 0-7. There's no way to make that scoreline look good. He's still holding them in there, keeping KMT from pushing those other lanes, allowing Candy Panda to split push that way. And every time KMT do send someone to go and deal with him, that time they had to send 3 people, and SK immediately rotated around, sent Freddy bottom, sent the other guys mid, and took another turret to punish them.
Yeah, he's 0-7-1, so he only has 1 assist in 31 minutes. That's pretty painful, but he has been on pest control. He's been constantly getting rid of these cockroaches in mid with the CS bearing down. He's just all the time throwing those barrels out, stopping them from pushing the tower. So he's doing his job, even though his score doesn't look too amazing thus far. Candy Panda, though, he's now got a chain vest, so that indicates to me GA next.
Yeah, it's going Guardian Angel next, without a doubt. So, yeah, it's going to become very, very slippery, as if he wasn't enough already. Overpower Shockwave's up. We do see KMT now all grouping in and around the Dragon area. In actual fact, they look like they want to just take this and fight for it. They're getting quite a bit of control over it and using these oracles on Vanda to gain control. But again, Candy Panda's now back up there by the golems in the top lane. KMT are pushing on mid with 5 people. Freddy's pushing bottom, and if they're not careful, they're going to lose a top inhib turret and inhibitor as well. And there you go, immediate recalls coming out from KMT. They're going to be cancelled. Nif gets one of them. Let's see if Overpower gets his cancelled too. It does, so both of them are down. down. Overpower, oh, I lied, didn't get cancelled. The barrel missed from Jez's. Overpower's coming out from base with Home Guard. He's got Zaxxas and Jankos following around, but Celiva's going incredibly low here from Jez's and Svenskeren. They're going to chase him under the turret. There's the ult comes out from Zaxxas as he stopped chasing Candy Power. Celiva's burning, he's going incredibly low, but he can't join this fight. Banda's chasing. Jez is off to one side. Jankos has come up as well. Candy Panda's still pushing, but Svenskeren's down incredibly low, and he will fall before he can safeguard to that ward. Celiva's gone top, but he's not there in time, and Candy Panda does pick up the turret. Bottom lane, Freddy 1-2-2 still pushing. All that was going on. There was 5 members of KMT rotating back to that middle lane to deal with the only 3 members of SK that were there, and they're losing other parts of their base for it.
It's just constant drive-bys from SK. Drive-by at bot, pick up a tower, pick up an inhib. Drive-by top, Candy picks up another inhib tower. So it's now down to 1,000 gold difference, and that really doesn't matter a great deal at this stage of the game. Jankos is chasing after Candy Panda, going to be flashing in with that cocoon, instantly pushed back, and the quick silver sash coming in. 3 players chasing him outright now, but the cavalry is coming in the form of Jez's and Nif. Beautiful grasping roots locking up 2, keeping Jankos at bay. That grasping root could have just changed everything. The shockwave missed there, I believe.
Didn't hit him at all.
Huge.
Freddy 1-2-2 is in here on the Nexus turret too. Vanda cannot fend him off on his own. KMT being kited beautifully around by the blue buff by the rest of SK. And Freddy actually goes straight between the Nexus turret trying to finish off Vanda. Uses a Blade of the Ruin King trying to get the last bit of damage. Vanda does get on the fountain. Candy Panda does force a flash over the wall from Overpower, who's on the tiniest sliver of HP. He's now chasing onto Zaxxas, who's hiding in this tribute, waiting for him. Ult goes straight down on top of Candy Panda's head. Celiva's there with his ult. He's going to miss. Just quick arcane shift forward. Dodges the... Camera, what are you doing? Dodges the grasping roots. Well, Celiva drops Nif over the wall. Candy's in full retreat. Celiva does have a lot of damage, and Candy Panda's lacking quite a bit of health. But again, they kept them busy in that top side, so it allowed Freddy a lot of free time in that bottom lane. Unfortunately for him, just as he had to leave, because Overpower got back to the base, the inhibit has respawned. But again, another fight like that, and that inhib will fall in a matter of seconds. SK Gaming fighting all these fights with a number disadvantage and playing it so incredibly well.
I just love that grasping root story from Nif around Baron. It locked up 2 players, and Jankos was going off by himself. So isolated them into a group of 1 and a group of 2. They took down Jankos with ease, and then that big shockwave miss from Overpower. He's been playing so well this entire tournament. That's one of the first mistakes we've seen him make.
Very much so. And again, these last couple of shockwaves, Overpower's trying to put them on people and then cast the shockwaves, and as a result, they're not quite landing. They're not quite as close as he thinks they are. They're not pulling them off. He needs to start putting the ball on the floor and then using it. And well, Candy Panda, we mentioned before, he's incredibly slippery at the moment. He's currently sitting on about 1,200 gold as well, 1,300. He's getting ever closer to that Guardian Angel, and then he can start being a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more in your face with some of these fights. Freddy's still just down in that bottom lane. He's got that Blade of the Ruin King finished before, and he's got another giant spell to his name now, and he's just keeping their pressure up, edging into the further and further into the KMT base. With the Baron alive now, they've got to make a decision. Give Freddy the free inhib, give SK their Baron. And KMT is stuck in the middle, and this is where experience shines through. You make the wrong decision here, and you can lose the game. You make the right one, and you live to fight another day. But there's only so many times you get to this situation, only so many ways you can train this, and they really need to make that right call.
Exactly, 100% agree with you. As you say, the Baron is alive again. Freddy is doing such a good job of being a thorn in the side. As I said before, even though Grax's score isn't great, because he's managed to clean out so many creeps, because we were getting towards 35-40 minutes, he still has big items. Rabadon's death cap. We are going to see the engage now. Svenskeren kicking out the Stranglethorn. Jankos all by his lonesome. Now has Celiva. Explosive cast coming in, pushing away Celiva from the rest of his team. Can they clean this one up? Barrel roll comes down from Jez, picking up his first kill, and the shutdown onto Sona, who's going to be dead for 45 seconds. That is more than likely going to be the Baron.
That was a 432 gold killing spree bonus on Sona too, so there's a bonus code from her. Svenskeren still alive with Candy Panda, and they're doing a lot of damage here into the Baron itself. Jankos is lacking a lot of health, and if he came over to try and steal that, he'd honestly lose his life in an instant. They're going to have to give it up. SK Gaming picked themselves up a second Baron after stealing the first one away. They get this one tried and true, and for the first time in this game, SK Gaming have the gold lead.
They do, by 300, but when you consider that was 8,000 behind just 15-20 minutes ago, what seems like a lifetime ago now, I'm sure, from SK and KMT's perspective. So this game is about as close as it gets. Momentum, I have to say, though, in SK Gaming's favour. I wouldn't be too surprised if KMT are a tiny bit quiet on comms right now.
No doubt. They were a long way ahead, but SK managed to stabilise and hold them off in a couple of key moments, grab a couple of kills onto some important people, and Candy Panda is destroying them at the moment. Every time they send someone to deal with him. And look again, straight back up now towards that top lane to go and split push. SK going to grab this Dragon Grumps with another 1,000 gold, and then Freddy is going to head straight back down to that bottom lane and look to grab himself the inhibitor. Candy's going to go top, grab himself the inhibitor, inhibitor. The other 3 members of SK Gaming are going to push mid and start pressuring them there.
And because they have Baron and because they're starting to pick up some more items, they can afford to 3 versus 5 in mid. They have Jezzes, they have the Disengage, they have Svenskeren with the Dragon's Rage as well.
Celeber has himself Guardian Angels now, so that's going to be a little bit harder for them. He's going to be able to get a little bit more aggressive without worrying about getting instantly popped down. But now Candy's showing himself in the top lane. KMT make an immediate beeline for that mid lane. They want to really push onto this inhibitor before SK have a chance to respond. They might just pull it off if they manage to zone them off to this one side. Ezreal ulting the wave to try and clear it as quick as possible. Freddy and Candy are still pushing. Gragasol puts Jankos and Vander low, slows them down ever so slightly. Another barrel onto Jankos, but Celeber's already on the inhib. They're going to start working the way, and I think SK may not be able to defend this one. They do get a recall from Freddy and a recall from Candy Panda. Jizzy's getting focused down very low. Not the greatest rumble up at all. The inhib is being focused. Freddy comes in. Beautiful Dragon's Descent onto 4 people, and KMT are falling left, right, and center. Zaxxas looks to be the next focus. Barrel comes over. Jankos is low, has to repel up to safety, but Celeber gets very aggressive in onto Jezzy. Candy Panda cancelled his recall and is actually still pushing the top lane. He's onto the top inhibitor while KMT are in full retreat and still being chased down by Svenskeren. Jankos probably looking like he's going to survive. Good shield comes out from Orion to keep him up for a bit longer, but while they're fighting Svenskeren, they're not recalling, and Candy Panda's onto the Nexus turrets.
He's taking this down very quickly. He has so much attack speed right now. Here comes Overpower from the side. Also important to mention that Shockwave missed, so Overpower does not have his Shockwave available. Here comes Silver from the side, using the Arcane Shift to get into consideration, but Blade of the
Candy Panda cannot fight those two, but he can kite them away to the rest of SK Gaming. Didn't quite finish off the Nexus turret, but again, inhibitor trade for inhibitor trade, and SK still have that bottom one open.
They certainly do, and Blade of the King instantly used, just like, I don't want to be here anymore, let me go. With the GA as well, still has the Baron buff. As you say, this game has been a real awesome one to watch, frankly. I'm loving this. I hope there's a 3rd game.
This is what Grand Finals are for.
Exactly.
This is it.
This is the time to shine on the big stage, in front of a capacity crowd, and these teams are not disappointing at all.
Celeber, Zaxxas pushing that bottom wave out a little way. We're going to see Freddy down there in a moment, no doubt, to turn it back and push it in the opposite direction once more. SK sending the rest of the players into that mid lane. Candy Panda coming out to grab himself a red buff. He has now finished Home Guard boots as well as that Guardian Angel, and is currently sitting on another 200 gold. I want to see that Mercurial Scimitar finish shortly. It's the last little bit of damage bonus he can get before his full build. But Ezreal got to replace that Doran's Blade first. So a little bit of a more standard moment here now, with majority of both teams in this middle lane. Do you see SK finally ready to take down this mid-tier 2 turret? He's on a tiny sliver of HP. He's not going to have to get very close to deal with it. Candy Panda does reveal himself in the bottom lane. KMT immediately push aggressive forward. Celeber, an aggressive Arcane Shift, trying to land some damage with that red buff. Now, here comes the rotate. Overpower and Vander heading down towards Candy Panda. He's out and safe though. Overpower needs to be very wary. He's already died to Candy Panda 1v1 a couple of times. Jankos and Vander going to try and deal with him too, but in the top lane, there's a massive wave of massive wave of super creeps as that inhib is down. That turret has not respawned much of, or regened much of its health yet, but with a quick wave of minion spawns, they do save it for a little bit longer. There's that middle turret falling down to SK Gaming, and KMT are back to being locked within their base.
And there's going to come a point where they have to go and stop these super minions, or they're going to lose the Nexus Tower, and that's when SK are probably going to pounce in mid. So, KMT, it's a juggling act right now. Do they, don't they? Do they go in for the full engage? Do they try maybe something like a crescendo from Vander, going in with a shockwave? Not too sure. But again, the super minions are pushing the top lane. They're constantly on the back foot here. And SK, they have the momentum. They have the capabilities of making a play come out of thin air with Gragas. Jez, if he lands a really good barrel, a pixel perfect barrel into a Dragon's Descent, into Vayne, it's going to spell doom for KMT.
Candy Panda being chased out of that bottom lane by Celeber. Guardian Angel, red buff, AD carries left, right, and center. Very, very quick Arcane Shift away from that snare as Nif threw it out. The rest of SK, they're still pushing mid. You can turret onto that mid turret. Baron come up in 2 minutes. Top wave got a big lump of super creeps, and Freddy 122 up there again as well. And SK funneling a lot of CS in towards Jezzy's, clearing out wave after wave with barrel after barrel. Candy Panda back towards the bottom lane now. Celeber still there trying to defend him, and it is a nail-biting, tense Mexican standoff between these two teams.
The atmosphere is tangible right now. There is a thick amount of atmosphere right out there. Both teams are still very close, and even though SK have been on the upper hand recently, if a really bad engage comes out from SK or a beautiful one from KMT, they can still win this game. They can just push right down mid if they get a clean ace and finish this game. So it's not even a case that SK Gaming are definitely going to win this matchup. They can still lose.
This could still go either way, definitely.
It's literally balanced.
We have a mass recall from SK. That's KMT's chance to get out of their base and start to regain some of the map control, but they don't realize it, and they've given SK now time to recall, get back out of the map before KMT really gain control. So the Baron up in a minute, and SK are already back there, planting their wards out and cleaning out KMT's severe lack of wards with an Oracles. So in the next 50 seconds, if KMT do not make their way across there, SK could nuke that Baron down before they even have a chance to react.
Yeah, especially when you consider how much damage Vayne is doing all by himself.
Vayne, Freddy 122, Gragas is even doing a lot now with a very quick, short cooldown barrel. Well, Nif as well, those plants actually do a deceptive amount of damage to static targets like Baron. So, the wards are all up again. The map is completely under SK control. If you look when the champions move away, you can see the wards on the mini-map. At that top half of the jungle, it is all lit up, and it is all blue wards. 13 seconds, and SK immediately start to make a beeline for it. Freddy is down in the bottom lane, so he's going to keep people busy, and he's keeping Overpower down there at the moment. SK can see the rest of KMT in that middle lane thanks to the creep wave that's pushing in, and there is the Baron. They're all waiting in there, and they immediately start it. Nothing KMT can do about this. Baron number 3 that SK are going to pick up, completely uncontested this time around. No more steals for Svenskeren to worry about.
Yeah, this is going to be Baron and Factory shot.
That was close. That was very close.
There are going to be some brown underwears right now for SK because that was amazingly close. We could have had a bit
Considering there was literally no vision, no timing, they'd just seen SK vanish and they had been gone as far as they're concerned for a long time. That was very, very well timed to judge SK's damage. So unlucky for Seleva, but a very nice attempt.
Nearly answering back for that Svenskeren steal.
Bouncing back to Svenskeren still. But the inhib has respawned in this top lane, so SK are all rotating around here now as a group. Big barrel slaps into Seleva's face. All 5 members of SK are actually here this time, so there's no split push going on. They're going to try and bully KMT off of this inhibitor. Candy Panda starts landing a couple of attacks down. Takes down a tiny sliver of the inhib HP, and a barrel comes out from Jez's.
Seleva is going to get absolutely decimated. Has the GA. Here's Zaza. It's going to be forced to use that Johnny's Hourglass. Candy Panda around from the side hub is doing damage. Picks up one. Going to be flashing back in, trying to take down the second kill. It's a 2-for-0 trade. It looks like SK are going to finalize this win after being behind by so much gold. But instead, they're going to pick up the first inhibitor, go to the mid lane, and take the mid inhib potentially afterwards. So actually, I thought SK were going to win off these 2 kills. It may still be going on.
They're playing very safely. Yes, those 2 important kills, but Overpower and Xaxis is still up, and that's a lot of damage. They've got to kill 2 Nexus turrets. They've got a lot of creeps to deal with, and those 2 people, and you can still see the damage that's coming to Jez's, would still do a lot. So they cannot risk pushing in and diving those turrets for these 2 people. They're going to take it safe, play a tutorial style, start taking down the other lanes and the inhibitors first.
So picked up the second inhib right now. Going to be moving to the mid lane when this creep wave comes back up. So even if they're not going to win with this push, they're going to put KMT in such a bad position with potentially all 3 inhibitors being down. Shockwave comes in. Last ditch effort perhaps. Vanda's taking a lot of damage though. Here comes Candy Panda. The Pain Vayne train comes down again. And they're going to pick up that kill. 60-second respawn timer on Vanda. Equalizer has been used. 3rd inhibitor will be falling. Candy Panda's taking a lot of damage. Still has the Guardian's Angel. That's been popped. Do SK wait around? True Shot Barrage comes through. Forces the flash. Shut down from Zazas. And actually, do they have the damage? Do they have the sustain now, Panky, to push right through mid?
SK need to get their recalls done quickly. If they can recall and they can heal, then they'll be able to defend. But if KMT manage to cancel the recalls, then SK are going to have an issue. KMT not cancelling their recall, they're just going to charge straight up the mid lane. They may be able to get this mid inhibitor, but they've lost all 3 of their own. So it's still going to be incredibly hard to defend with 2 super creeps coming in every wave in every lane. They're coming to charge in, but SK have healed. They're back out in their home guard. Celery and Jankos have a lot of damage, but can they get through this inhibitor before the barrels from Jezis do too much damage to them? We'll have to wait and see. Easily done. SK do manage to give up that middle inhibitor. They back off and let it go. But again, top lane, bottom lane, massive blue lumps of creeps heading in towards KMT's base. And now SK are going to chase them out here and stop them from recalling, stop them from killing those creeps off. And only Sona's left in there.
Sometimes the best defense is a strong offense. And KMT are like, okay, we've got 3 inhibs down. Let's try and take one of yours and even things up. So yes, it is not looking too good for them, but credit to them, they've got the kill on Candy Panda. GA will not be available when he's back on the playing field for a little while. That's going to be good news for KMT.
He sold his GA.
Oh, he's actually
sold it for a Banshee's Vow, because now that he doesn't have the now that he doesn't have the active on it, now that he doesn't have that revive capability, he's picked up a Banshee's Veil instead. That spell block is very, very powerful for him, and it's a lot of magic damage coming out from KMT as well, so the extra magic resist he gets from that is very, very useful.
And because he's reached that stage in the game where he has full item build and can pretty much just juggle whatever he wants, he can keep going back and forth between Banshee's Veil and GA whenever GA is back available again. So if this game keeps going, you could see him changing out quite a few times.
How much gold does he have? Oh, he's down to 400, so it was a tight resell, but he still resold it all the same. But SK easily walking straight back into KMT's base. Now, yes, they did lose a mid in him, so there's super creeps in the mid lane, but KMT still, there's one super creep coming towards SK, there's two coming back to answer for it in every lane. So SK, now with the Candy Panda having respawned, are just going to sit back, let the super creeps build up, and there's going to be so much that KMT aren't going to be able to handle all those super creeps and SK, and they are playing this ever so cautious and ever so slow. But should all go to plan for SK Gaming, this is going to be a comeback to remember. Something about Dreamhack there is. Something about Dreamhack.
I seem to remember something
superior comebacks.
Something, maybe CL something?
CL something, yeah.
I seem to remember something around that kind of name frame, but regardless,
Jankos getting snared up. Candy Panda doing a lot of damage to him, forces the repel out, but Freddy 122's on the Nexus turrets. Zelova takes a big barrel to the face. Nexus turret number 1's going to fall to super creeps. Freddy 122 was not pushed off of there in time. CSK again landing a little bit of damage down. Nif's going to get focused down by Jankos, but a quick Shredder puts him out to safety. Nexus turret number 2 still standing. Jankos incredibly low with Freddy 122 on his back. Sonora goes down, catches Candy Panda. The quicksilver slashes there. Rumbalow's not ideal. Jankos will fall, so KMT are down to 4 members. The super creeps are still onto that Nexus turret. It is so incredibly low, but KMT are doing all they can to defend it. Another 6 super creeps onto the turret. It's fallen. The Nexus is exposed. Candy Panda, Freddy, and Svenskar look to come around one side, but SK lost a lot of health. There's the ult comes out. Freddy's Dragon Descent goes in. Zaxxas pops his Zonya's going to try and finish off Candy Panda. Shockwave only hits Freddy 122. Down goes Zaxxas. Down goes Svenskar. Overpowers incredibly low. Body slam dodged by the Zonyas. Condemned into the wall. Celova's exposed and down. No, on the fountain he will fall to the last silver bell proc. SK Gaming have pulled it off. The comeback successful, and they've taken the series to 1 game apiece.
So good. I'm actually lost for words, Spanky. They're 8,000 gold behind, and they bring it back in the 49th minute to win. KMT must be devastated right now. They must be exhausted mentally.
At the 18-minute mark, I was looking at that game going, you know, KMT has said most of the games are 25 minutes. This looks like it's going to be a 25-minute game too. But SK stabilized. They took their game, they got it back into where they wanted it to be. They wanted a 3-man pressure at mid. They wanted split pushes top and bottom between Candy Panda and Freddy. There was no one